Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sports Corner at 124 as we are underway for the first time. Shelby Burget and I'm Dewain Hulett. This is Shelby, by the way, for anybody.
Good day,
Anybody didn't know that, but Shelby, you and I have done a lot of things together through the years. This has not really been one of them, though.
No, it hasn't. I've joined you a little bit on a couple broadcasts, play-by-play, and color, whatever. But yeah, this is a new horizon for this old dog.
Well, and we kind of came up with this idea a month or two ago when we decided, thought it might be fun to get some of the coaches together. We were going to do a one-on-one thing, and then the idea of a roundtable kind of came up. And we're going to get three coaches on at a time here tonight, and we're going to allow the coaches kind of to banter back and forth. And the cool thing is we'll be on the computer as well. So if, as it looks like we're having some internet problems maybe, if you want to hop in and ask a question of one of the coaches, as long as it is what am I wanting to say here, Shelby? A fair and legitimate question. We'll let you do that.
Yeah, we don't need any goofy stuff going on here. We're just here to rap and have a good time and talk a little football. And I think there's a lot of people excited about that, and rightfully so. It's kind of been a long off season. I think everybody's ready for.
Yeah, and football season is always the thing that. I don't know how I want to put this, but it's the one sport I think that really gets the hype because you've got all summer, in Illinois at least, you got all summer to look forward to football, right?
Right, and I think a lot of times, especially in the smaller towns, it's the thing that kind of drives the community. Everybody's always wanting to know how you talk to all these coaches all the time, and you always get these people asking, well, how's the football team, coach? I mean, it's talk on the streets, talk in the barbershops, wherever, There's always a talk about how the football team is.
Yeah, and, we're going to talk volleyball tomorrow night. We're going to talk to athletic directors because there's so much more to the fall sports season than just football.
Yes.
Because there is volleyball, which is probably the second biggest of the fall sports. But then you have junior high baseball, and you have tennis, and you have soccer, and you have all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, cross country, girls swimming, girls tennis, especially here at Macomb High, there's a lot of things going on. So you could probably find something to go watch if you were so inclined to do so.
Well, and A-Town's got a lot of stuff going on too. They have soccer in the fall. They have bowling. They have wrestling. They're going to start wrestling this year in the wintertime. So, A-Town's got a lot of stuff going on too. So, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So the ADs are going to be, or some of the ADs that we're able to get are going to be here on Sunday to talk. So we got volleyball tomorrow night. But what we're doing tonight is something that you've already done to some extent in the newspaper for the community news brief and for the Rushville Times. But you and I have done for years where we've kind of talked to the coaches and got an idea. But this is the first time that you and I have been able to bring them together like this and actually get it for the people to be able to hear the words right out of their mouths.
Right, exactly. It provides people a good opportunity to kind of watch and like you say, kind of get it from quote-unquote the horse's mouth as far as, what they're thinking and, what maybe to expect as, they get ready for the new season.
One of the other things is I think people will see tonight that maybe they don't get to see very often is the camaraderie between coaches.
Yeah.
There's some coaches don't get along, don't get me wrong. But for the most part, coaches, it's like a fraternity, right? And they all get along. They're all standing here talking to each other right now as we get ready to go on with the first three coaches. So it's one of those things where they kind of just get along. And I think you'll be able to see that when they get on air tonight.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is with a lot of these guys, a lot of them are approximately the same age. So, they've kind of come up together, so to speak, if you will, through the ranks or whatever. And now they're coaches and – obviously, there's some pedigree in with some of these guys that are coaches, with their dads or whatever. So, it's all part of it. So
yeah, it should be a lot of fun, and I think that people will enjoy it as we continue to move through the night. What are you looking forward to from tonight, as far as from the coaches? Because it is a different. We're going to be asking maybe less questions than we normally would because they'll bring them up themselves to some extent, right? But what are you looking forward to see the interaction between the coaches? Is there one thing that sticks in your mind?
Oh, I don't think so, really. Just to listen to them and, just to hear kind of what they're thinking. They've had almost, a week and a half of practice now, so, you start kind of formulating things as to, what you might expect. And I don't know. With this being the first time, hey, you never know till you try it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, though.
The other thing some people might wonder is the Community News Brief and TSSR Game Time Live, a couple of quote-unquote journalists. You guys are journalists for sure. TSSR is a coverage company, but why work together, right? Well, years back, even when you and I were at the Journal, we worked with the radio stations even back then, and the cross-pollination is just a good thing for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're in the business of informing people. And in your case, what you do with TSSR, I mean, as far as giving people an opportunity that may not get a chance otherwise to see, somebody halfway around the world, may tune into your broadcast and watch a grandkid play or something. I mean, you never know. And then as far as it goes with my end, there was a need for somebody to do sports here, and I kind of reached out to Lynn, and she was receptive. And, I've kind of always done this, I mean, this is year 34 for me. So, I mean, to be honest, I don't know what I'd be doing otherwise. But, if I can get kids' name, a little public pub, and a little recognition, I'm all in.
It's funny as we move into this year. You and I have seen a lot of change because we were both at the Journal when there was a lot of changes that went from the time you started and even from the time I started a few years later. The change has been huge, but it just, in every market, it continues to change. I mean, Chris Dewar is now at Muddy River and left KHQA, which had been at KHQA pretty much as long as we've been around here, right? So as long as we can remember. So just stuff continues to change, but when you change things, you have to learn to work with different people or work in a different way, right? So I think that Muddy River's doing their great stuff they're doing, and you guys doing what you're doing with the newspaper, keeping that alive, and us kind of getting the game itself out there. All of us can work together because our ultimate goal is to get the product out there and let people know what's going on, right?
Yeah, get the product out there, keep people informed as to what's going on. I mean, when you start losing those services and everything goes kind of dark, that's not a good thing.
No, it's not. Well, we're going to take our first break here today, and we'll come back. Got a trio of coaches that maybe some people might be surprised by here in this first group. We got 2 8-man coaches, and then an 11-man coach with the pedigree that you talked about just a few minutes ago. So it'd be interesting to see those coaches interact with each other, I think. But that one 11-man coach is probably at a school small enough, almost. I don't know what the enrollment is for sure, but I think they're small enough they could be 8-man if they wanted to be.
They could. That's under 300. So.
Yeah. So we'll be back with Rushville Industry, BPC, and West Prairie. After this, you're watching the Football Roundtable for 2025 here on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by McDonough District Hospital in partnership with the Community News Brief. We'll be right back after this.
You get the opportunity to see so many different things that if you worked at a bigger hospital, you may not be able to see. Work is not just about the job, it's also about the people that work alongside you. And we have the best teamwork. They're like a second family. Sometimes you can't get that feeling other places.
At Western Illinois University, leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there is limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
When I walk in and talk to my patients, I like my patients first and foremost to feel comfortable. I like to keep it real with them. I like them to know that I'm there to listen to them and to help them understand some of the processes that they may be going through. The most rewarding aspect that I feel with caring for patients is when those patients come back in and they tell me how much better they feel for something that I have helped them accomplish in their healthcare.
There's been a lot of rewarding parts working at McDonough District Hospital. I've had patients come to me that maybe have not had care in the community, care available. So with the addition of nurse practitioners lately, we've been able to add more care, and that's very rewarding to me. My hope is that when the patients leave at the end of an appointment, they leave and they definitely feel like they've been listened to, and they feel like their needs have been met, their cares have been met, and that they're going to get the proper treatment that they deserve from me as a provider.
I went through MDH when we were trying to get pregnant. My experience was nothing short of phenomenal. It was really reassuring and comforting knowing that I had so much support and kindness around me. My entire pregnancy at MDH was amazing.
It was the community that really drew me back to Macomb. I'm from a small community, and I'm from a farm family, and ultimately I always wanted to practice in a place like that, and I felt that I had the ability to connect to people who with a similar background from me, and the fact that the staff members at the hospital and the support, all the support staff at the hospital was also focused with the goal of patient care. It felt like it just all came hammered at home for me.
And welcome back. Boy, we've got a crew in here. You know, I didn't think about this very well, guys, when I decided we'd want to fit everybody in here on one camera. We kind of sitting shoulder to shoulder. Great to have 3 coaches with us, Shelby, that are getting, you know, a couple of these guys were just brand new a couple years ago, and then you got one old one at the other end.
Yeah, it's of course I remember when all these guys were a little bit younger, but
right.
But I think we can say that about all of us. So
yeah, that's exactly right. So first off, from BPC, Coach Schisler. Coach, you got a young team, it sounds like, but the 8-man deal. Let me see if I can get you turned up there.
Great.
There you are.
Good there? All right.
So young kids, 8-man. How many players you got this year?
21 as of now. 21.
So is that about normal for you, or?
We're a little lower. I think last year we had about 25, 26, so definitely lower in numbers, and we're younger for sure. I think we've got 4 seniors, a handful of juniors, and the rest are freshmen and sophomores. So.
Well, I'm going to skip to the other end now and go down here to Coach Mack, because he's the other 8-man coach this year. Coach, you've been doing this 8-man thing for a while now. You do that because maybe you don't have the numbers that you want to do 11-man. Where are you guys at? How do you feel about going into the season as far as numbers go?
I mean, numbers-wise, we're at about 23, 24. But our goal kind of always with 2 schools is to get, 4 kids from each class from both schools, and you got 8, then you got 32, which is always a good number. We're kind of senior-heavy now. I think we've got 9 seniors. Our junior class, we only got 2 guys, so that's a problem, looking into the future, so we got to do some work there. Sophomore class, we've got 7 or 8 kids, and then our freshman class, I think we've got 5, but they're all from one school. So, we kind of have our work cut out for us down the road trying to, maintain that. But like I said, that's always kind of our goal, and you would think you could get 4 from each school, but it's tougher than you think, I guess. But yeah, we got 23 guys, and the guys we have are working their butt off, and that's all we can ask.
Our other coach here is the only 11-man coach of the group. Spent his whole life in 11-man, had some pretty good success as a player, and has done a lot of coaching. But Coach Lafferty, you're at a school that's small enough to be 8-man, but you've had pretty good success keeping kids playing. You feel you're pretty lucky to be able to get 40, 45 kids to come out a lot of years?
Sure, we've been fortunate. I would say that Rushville's kind of a football town, and that a lot of the kids initially from their parents and people in the past have played football, and we have been lucky enough to have actually over 50 most years, and this year actually everybody's talking about this. We are actually down in numbers this year as well. We're at 39, and so I would say it's kind of the nature of small school football, and that it's going to ebb and it's going to flow, and all you can do is try to do your best to put a good product on the field and make something that kids want to be a part of, and you hope that those numbers swing back up to the 50s and what they've been.
And you guys have all been around football a long time. Some of you have coached longer than others, and I guess for you, considering your dad, you've probably been somewhat coaching and playing and everything since you were a little kid, haven't you?
Well, this is actually my 9th year as the head football coach at Rushville. So
is it that long?
Coming in on
yes.
somebody said kind of knew us like, Well, I was 23 when I got hired, and I'm going to be 33 this spring. So it's been a little while.
God, you're getting old.
I know, but I have been around a ton of good football my whole life. I always tell people that my favorite memories by a mile are being a water boy for the Northwestern La Harpe Thunder back in the day. I got to play on a lot of great football teams and have coached a lot of great teams at Rushville. It's a really special community, but nothing beats the initial football memories with Dad.
Well, Coach McCormick, you played high school ball and you had success in high school to a certain level anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, not a state championship, I don't think, did you? But
No.
But you guys had a lot of success when you played. And then you went to college. How has those learning steps helped you as a coach? Because you've been coaching quite a few. You're the most experienced one in the group right now.
Yeah, and every year I kind of do some math, and this is the 42nd year I've either been a player or a coach. Maybe not the head coach, whatever, but 42 years that I've been a part of a football team. But I would say, as far as high school goes, I had a really neat deal. Unfortunately, we lost our baseball coach Ned Graham, and my old coach Phil Pullman, who he coached me my sophomore and junior year. He was a teacher, then he became a state policeman, and he has no regrets for that. He's retired now, making
Right.
got a pretty good pension. But it was really neat to kind of reminisce with him and talk about football a little bit. And I didn't realize how young he was when he came. He was 22 years old when he started coaching us, and he goes, I didn't really know what I was doing. I said, well, you kind of fooled us, and then he went on to have a good career with the state police. But, it's just, I think football is football, and, obviously when you go from high school to play in, even Division III football, that's a whole new deal. The game's a lot faster. Every kid that, you saw on the football field that might be able to knock you on your rear end, they're all playing and they're practicing against you. And then, it just goes up from there, obviously, Division II, Division I, and all that. But, it's just been fun. I've had a really good time playing and just feel very fortunate to stick around it as long as I have and be able to be part of a team. Like I said, 42 years is kind of a long time. But I really enjoy being around football and trying to, get these young guys to understand how important it is and how important it is for you. Like today, we just talked about being tough, and I said, if you're tough in today's society, you're going to make money, you're going to do a lot of things because there's a lot of people that aren't. So, and our 23 guys they grasp that, and they're starting to figure that out, and we're trying to build that as we practice. Each day, you got some young guys that still have some learning to do on how to be tough, but I think that's a big deal, and that's been kind of a focus for us just this season, just trying to make sure we understand, what toughness is and the standard that we kind of want, and they're trying to reach that.
Coach Sisler, you kind of feel like a baby in this group?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. This is like my fourth year being head coach, so yeah, for sure.
Now, it's your fourth year. You kind of, I don't want to say you got thrown into it, but it kind of just jumped at you, didn't it?
Yeah, that first year with Rodis, learning under him a little bit, and was kind of hoping I could learn under him for a few more years, and then he went to Lewiston, so it was me and Schwartz just there kind of doing it together for that first year, co-head coaching, which no one's ever heard of. But we went ahead and did that. We made it work, and then I took over the year after. So
I'm sure you like talking to guys that have been around a while, but how did you get from high school to a new graduate, essentially, to being a head coach in a short period of time? You kind of followed Coach Lafferty's footsteps a little bit, I think, as far as getting a head coaching job pretty quick, right?
Yeah, like you said, just kind of thrown into the fire. I wasn't expecting it. Rodis got that job, and there for a while, the position was vacant. No one applied for it, so I talked to Schwartz. I'm like, hey, I don't really want to do this alone my first year here, so we worked together. We figured it out, and here we are 5 years later.
Just a full disclosure, I went to school with both his mom and dad at Astoria, so.
Is that good or bad? What kind of stories can you tell us about his parents?
That's probably too long ago for me to remember anything.
I gotcha. One of the things, Coach Lafferty, this popped in my head when Coach McCormick was talking about toughness, and you brought up the Northwestern La Harpe teams. Those teams, because I was working newspapers at the Quill and at the Journal in those days, those teams were like the epitome of toughness, weren't they? And you learned that firsthand as a little kid. But you ended up at a place that's kind of the same way, didn't you?
Absolutely. I've said from the beginning that Rushville was a really good fit. You know, my dad in coaching football always says that football is about blocking and tackling, and he is absolutely right. And ultimately, the team that is going to play harder and be more physical is going to win. And whatever plays you run, whatever formations you run, all of that stuff, whatever, as long as you're physical and you play fast and you play hard, you can really kind of choose whatever you want other than that. And yes, as a kid, seeing the Thunder teams and then being on some good physical teams, and Rushville is one of those places we always kind of say we don't really do anything pretty. There's nothing, you know. I think buck sweep is beautiful though, and people who don't are wrong.
How about you, McCormick? You think buck sweep's beautiful?
Hey, I know that guy likes crossbuck a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously like running the ball. I don't care what it's called, as long as you can run it and take care of the ball and beat people 6-0, you still win. And that's not fun to watch, but that's kind of what we've done for a long time. So
sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. I kind of.
You know, the old saying is, it doesn't matter how you win; they just ask you if you win.
You just got to win. That's all it is.
Yeah. So I think the cool thing about this is everybody up here played 11-man football. Yeah. You guys are coaching 8-man football now. What do you miss about 11-man? What do you guys miss about 11-man? Obviously, besides the 3 players, do you miss anything about it?
Well, I mean, you miss 3 dudes on kickoff, punt return. That's tough. I mean, I think special teams and playing defense is tough. You know, the field's not as wide, but it's still 40 yards wide. And if you got somebody that's got some speed and you don't have it, it's tough. And I mean, you know, and we've kind of figured out a little bit of a way, like we would run full house backfield. You can have 3 guys in the back with a quarterback, and 8-man, you can only have 3. So you got a quarterback, and we've kind of dabbled a little bit with some, you know, broken bone type stuff, so we can kind of run some of the stuff we've run. But it was always nice when you could have 3 or 4 running backs, and you could run ISO, crossbuck, things like that, where you could use one of those guys as a blocker, and it's very hard. If you got 3 guys that are pretty good, it's hard to stop all 3 of them. So, and then if you got a quarterback, you can always sneak a keep in there once in a while, or a play action pass. But I think probably the biggest thing that I miss about 11-man is just, you know, I wish we could play 8-man with 11 guys, and we'd be in really good shape. But you can't do that. So, you know, but it's there. You know, as far as offense goes, I think you can kind of figure out some things. But man, defensively, you got to play a lot of man. It's really tough to play zone. We've tried to kind of work some zone stuff in coverage-wise, and we got to get our guys to figure that out, because, you know, for the first couple of years we've been a lot of man. But yeah, I think the difficult part of it is defensively. You know, you'd like to have another guy out there or 3 guys out there to kind of help stop the run and some different things that people throw at you from week to week.
You know, you talk about how you've been around 42 years, you know, in one capacity or another.
He says to throw that out there again.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's an ongoing process, isn't it? No matter how many years you've been around the game, I mean, you're still constantly learning.
Yeah, you know, when you don't want to be that guy, like sitting here, I'm 54 years old, but you don't want to be that guy, you know, the game passed him by. You know, I still believe in running the ball, just like Coach said. You got to play defense. You know, you got to block, you got to tackle. But running the ball and stopping the run, I don't care. I mean, in 20 years, it's going to be the same. You know, you can run whatever you want. You look at the NFL, you know, and, you know, you look at the linemen that Dallas had in, 1996. Those guys are all huge. Now they don't look like that. You know, and the D linemen don't look like that. The game changes and the personnel changes, but the fact that you got to block, tackle, and you got to play hard, and you got to be the team that doesn't, you know, like I told our kids, I said, you know, there's a lot more games that are just lost than somebody beating somebody. You know, you can beat yourself with penalties, turnovers, things like that. But if you can take care of the ball and not have very many penalties, you know, key turnovers, you're going to have a great chance of winning the game. Plus, you want to block, tackle, and be physical and be a tough team.
Coach Schisler, one of the things that Coach mentioned was, you know, if you have some fast guys or quick guys in 8-man, one of the things that from championship teams to the worst team in the league, every coach says if you miss that first tackle or don't get a hand on somebody when you should have, it's a real problem in 8-man, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have dog piles like you see in 11-man. We don't have a safety now, so you don't have that deep guy. We don't run a safety anyway, but I mean, you got to fly to the ball, and I mean, you got to hit hard. So I mean, biggest thing is reading your keys. I keep telling our defensive guys, you got to read your keys. You got to pick up on things when we watch film, because every single play, you miss one tackle, you can't rely on anybody behind you because you're the last line of defense there. So it's definitely different. It's faster in my opinion. And yeah, that field length, from sideline to sideline, it is definitely, guys run out of room pretty quick for sure.
Now, Coach Lafferty, I know that you watch some of our 8-man broadcasts.
Sure. I usually talk trash to Jeff Borders is usually my plan.
That's how I knew. That's how I knew. So obviously you've pretty much literally lived 11-man football your whole life. You watch 8-man, maybe it is just to make fun of Jeff, but you hear these guys, they're saying the same things, though. I mean, and I've talked to Coach Unruh, and it's the same. He says the same things. You just got to read your keys. You got to do all that stuff. The talk is the same, and everybody talks about how 8-man football is so much different. It's 8 men instead of 11, but the needs and the wants are the same.
I would say that football is football, and again, what I just said before, blocking, tackling, etc. The only thing I ever wish is that I want as many kids playing football as humanly possible. So every time I hear that there's a little more 8-man, I'm not anti-8-man. I'm for kids playing football. So that's really my only thing, is that it's kind of sad when we lose the 11-man teams, but it's still much better for them to have the opportunity to play 8-man football, because ultimately it is football, and that's what kids need, an opportunity to play.
Coach McCormick, you've been around a long time. That's John Lawler. That's what he preaches, isn't it? About that's what the whole point of 8-man is so they can keep playing.
Yeah, and I mean, in some of our schools, they're barely hanging on, and they're trying and they're fighting.
Lost 2 this week.
Yeah, we did. We lost a couple teams that just couldn't get enough guys interested in playing, and some teams they're going to show up with 14 guys, or they're going to show up with 15, and I really admire those kids that are doing that. I mean, I have a lot of respect for a team that's going to bring, hey, we got 3 guys on the sideline, so we're good, because they got 11 dudes out there, and you know how football is. As the year goes, you have injuries, you have people that get ineligible, and you have things like that. When you got 40 or 50 guys, it's not such a big deal. But, man, there are some teams that, I don't know sometimes how they do it. I mean, it's tough, and there's some 11-man teams the same way. Some people are trying to play. I just saw, I think Highland, Missouri, has 20 guys out for football, and they're playing in the Clarence Canyon Conference, which is no joke.
Right.
And they got 20 guys. So it's kind of tough times, and to me, football gets a pretty bad rap. I would not trade any of my football experiences for anything. And if I could, start over, I'd do exactly what I did. I'd probably work a little harder, and I'd still do it. I mean, every once in a while I get up and things don't feel great, but I think that could be other stuff too.
That might be old age.
That's just being old, but it's. I think it's a great game, and like Coach said, I mean, as many kids as we can have playing, and I feel bad for kids that don't experience it, I just think when I'm with my buddies, we don't talk about a whole lot other than, women and playing football, I guess.
So, speaking of that, I'm going to start with Coach Schisler, but I'm going to kind of point this to all 3 of you. I know that, Coach McCormick, you've coached baseball and you played other sports.
Yeah.
Coach Lafferty, I know you played other sports. Coach Schisler, you got 21 kids playing football, but you don't push those kids to not play anything else either, do you? I mean, that's an important thing, and I would imagine you played other sports too, right?
Yeah. So like multi-sport athletes, I keep telling these guys, one sport's going to help you with the next sport, and like you guys playing, obviously it's going to hold you accountable in the classroom, but getting that experience, eye-hand coordination, that translates to every single sport you play. And a lot of these kids just play the sport to say, I was a 12-sport athlete all through high school. No, actually play these sports and learn these sports and get good at these sports, because, when it's gone, it's gone. So,
Coach?
For sure. I think that if you're at a small school, you have to understand that everybody benefits when everybody plays everything. And you're not going to get 3-sport athletes across the board, but really if you can encourage them and really not discourage them. I think that at times there is a specialization aspect that happens, and I will admit that I am very anti that, and that I think kids need to be kids. And if you want to play a sport because you think it would be fun, you should play that sport because it would be fun. And I know we talk about maybe developing for other sports, but you only get to play high school sports once. And I would say that really, if I have any regrets from high school, it's I wish I would have done more of something. You know what I mean? Doing more things. And so that's kind of my perspective on it.
Coach, you're old up in age a little bit like I am. When we were in high school, yeah, well, that's true, but we'll leave that alone. When we were in high school, there wasn't hardly any travel stuff that I remember,
No.
And the summer stuff wasn't as much, and the coaches kind of seemed like they worked together. Like you could work some football and you could do basketball stuff still, and now everybody wants them all the time, and it's so hard for kids. But coaches really need to work together, don't they?
I just remember years ago when I was first beginning to coach, Bob Reedy, you guys know who he is. They had a big deal at the football clinic talking about these contact days, and that guy knows something about football. But he said, I think you guys are creating a monster. You're going to have 25 contact days for football. You're going to have 25 for basketball. Baseball plays anyway because you're going to kill the three-sport athlete. And you know what? That guy's kind of right. I mean, it kind of did. But I just think, at the school our size, comparable in sizes, you pretty much,
you need the kids to play.
Yeah, and I know a lot of guys from bigger schools, that maybe went to a Bettendorf high school or something like that, man, I wish I could have gone here because then I would have played three things. I wouldn't have just worried about one because I knew I could play that. And they couldn't make the team in basketball, or they couldn't make the baseball team, or they couldn't make the football team. I mean, that I just think our kids, need to understand you got an opportunity, to be a part of something. And, boy, it sure makes school go a lot quicker when you're doing something, I always thought. I mean, I was a basketball player. I was a 30-point player. When we were up 30, I played. When we were down 30, I played. If I even played then. But I was on the team and tried to help my buddies get better with practice and things like that. I was never real nervous at a basketball game because I knew I didn't have anything to do with winning or losing. I was going to play or I wasn't. But I was out there and I played, and just to be around my guys and keep myself busy, out of trouble, things like that. So, but yeah, you talk about. I think I played Legion baseball in Canton, and I think we played 27 high school games and 33 games in the summer. Now I see, the 9U, man, they played 71 games. I'm like, man, that's a lot of games.
Why?
I thought 40 games was a lot, but yeah.
I think that just does nothing but, when the kids get older, it's going to burn them out, and they're going to eventually rebel and just say, well, screw that, keep playing and playing. You get to a point, it's like, why,
Yeah.
Everybody wants to push their kid to be the next All-American or top draft choice instead of letting the kids be kids.
And before we leave the topic of playing multiple sports, you guys all talk to obviously you're high school coaches. You all talk to college coaches on a regular basis.
Hell yeah.
And there's very few college coaches that don't say that same thing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we had Nathaniel Marshall a few years ago, and some coaches were looking at him, and they asked if he played basketball. I said, actually, yeah, he does. They're, oh, that's great. He was a great track athlete, great thrower, things like that. But, he looked kind of goofy in a basketball uniform, but he could play basketball. I mean, he was kind of hard to, he could set a screen and he could rebound. He was 6'4", 300-pound guy, and but he played basketball, and he did all three. I mean, that's the thing. I just, if we look at our kids, and I don't know about you guys, but very few of them are three-sport athletes anymore. And I don't know if we'll ever get back to that or not. Probably not in my time as a coach, but hopefully there's kind of a turn, like Coach said, ebbs and flows, and parents and the attitudes of how they want to do things.
What do you think it's going to take for that to happen to where kids are going back to be three-sport athletes?
I don't know. I mean, so there's too many guys, making money off of these people, and putting some things out for them, whatever. And some of those places are legit, but so many of them are not. The legit ones, the legit AAU teams. You kind of know who those are and who they're not, but they're very good at selling their stuff, and and convincing kids, hey, you need to spend money. And it's always kind of cool. I mean, I think the parents really enjoy going and spending their weekend somewhere watching a ball game or a basketball tournament or whatever, and they hang out with the other parents, and they're constantly on the road. And I mean, I don't know how some people afford to do that every weekend.
I think it's also difficult in that you are – sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I think it's also difficult in that we are in an era now where you are fighting a lot of comfortable entertainment.
Yes.
And then let's be honest, football is one of the most fun things, probably the most fun thing I've ever taken part in. Mm-hmm. It is very hot, uncomfortable work in that, like, you also play – or I guess you practice and practice and practice and practice. I was telling the kids at practice today, hey, your prize is coming soon. We've been practicing since whenever. Yeah. And so I think there's way more like access to things that are fun that aren't necessarily uncomfortable. And so you are fighting a little bit of that as well.
I want a memory that I have, and Shelby might remember this too. I remember you brought up Northwestern La Harpe. Jackson Jones was a very good three-sport athlete. I remember state championship game, and it might have been the one
against Chenoa, 1996.
And then they came to the Spartan Tip-Off Classic that night and played basketball.
I believe it.
Him, and I can't remember the other kid's name, but 2 or 3 of them came from the state championship game. They got beat, mind you, in a tough loss, and they come and play basketball that night. I mean, I don't know that there's kids to do that today.
No,
not as much anymore.
No, that's a pretty special athlete that would do that, and be able to, and probably scored 20 points. He had 13 boards or something. He was
legit.
Yeah,
he was good. But that's the kind of the athlete has changed a lot. And Coach Ischler, you haven't been out of school as long, but you probably are seeing it already too, aren't you?
I definitely see a change for sure. I mean, when we were in high school, we seen a lot more three-sport athletes, and it kind of tails off. Like, I hear it all the time just from seniors, like, I'm just taking my senior year off. I don't really feel like playing sports. And it's like, man, you're missing out on so many opportunities and so many, memories that you're not going to get to experience ever again. So it's definitely sad to see.
They don't understand that once it's gone, it's gone.
Exactly.
You don't get it back. It's not like you get to go back to, say, go back and have a 5th year of high school, because that don't happen.
Yeah, you graduate.
Once you graduate, once you're done, you're done.
It's a bunch of I wishes.
There's no going back.
Yep.
And that's probably the one year that you don't want to miss, right?
Yeah.
As you guys look back, you didn't miss that year. That's probably the one year you're super glad you didn't miss, right?
Yeah.
And it goes so fast. I mean, when you think about it, and I tell our old guys all the time, our seniors, I'm like, this is going to go real fast. The school year is going to go real fast. And they start, every year at the end of the year, we have our seniors talk. Every one of them says, man, enjoy every minute because it goes fast. And I think it's starting to kind of sink in like, oh, these guys aren't kidding around. This is true, and it really does go fast. And, then you got a couple choices when you graduate. You can go to college, you can go to work, you can go to the military. And none of those things are as fun as going to high school, I don't think. They're a lot harder, I can tell you that.
They're all work in one capacity or another, right?
Yeah, everything gets a little harder when you graduate.
Well, before I let you guys go, Coach Ischler, anything you want to say about what's coming up for you guys and the season for BPC?
We got our scrimmage this Friday, so even though we got a small team, we have a scrimmage. We're going to try to get all the guys out there and, put on a little show for the community and whatnot. And then the following week, we go to Polo, first game, away game, furthest game too. So
get it out of the way in a hurry, right, Coach?
Yeah.
So we have some far road games, but we do have 5 home games this year. So looking forward to this group, even though we're young. Building something here, and I've got these guys for the next 3 years. So it's hopefully building something special here.
Coach Lafferty?
For sure. Similar, we have our scrimmage coming up. We go to Mount Sterling in play Brown County, which is always fun. Coach Little does a great job over there, and it gives us an opportunity to kind of shake the rust off and kind of have a game before we have a game, if that makes sense. I think that's one of the best things that the IHSA has done, is given us the preseason scrimmage. And as far as my kids in Rocket Country, the senior class is one of my favorite groups of people that I've ever been around. I know Shelby knows these guys. They're a great group of kids. They're going to end up being a lot of great fathers, husbands, and employees in that, as in people you like spending time with, and so as I told them, we're not going to hit the fast forward button on this season. We're going to try to take it in and try to enjoy every day together, and hopefully have another good year.
Coach Mack?
Same thing. We have our scrimmage Friday night. They do have a This is for the junior class. They're going to be happy I said something. But they're doing a thing, I think, from 4 to 6, where they're serving hot dogs, hamburgers, kind of a fundraiser for prom. So, show up, get something to eat. I think it's $5 for
It is. I saw that earlier.
I saw that
Pretty
earlier
good
too.
deal. I might get 2 of those. I don't know.
See.
Might cost me $10.
See, when it comes to food, it's like
or I might
universal
eat the
language.
So, we'll have our scrimmage. We'll take it pretty easy. I mean, we'll do what we can with what we have and try to stay healthy. Obviously for week 1, and week 1 we have a home game versus Ashton Franklin Center. We've never played them before. Our first 2 games are against teams we haven't played. Ashton Franklin Center, and then we got to go to West Carroll, which is up in Savannah. So, and it's kind of a little bit of a trip too. But yeah, we're just kind of focusing on that first week, getting through the scrimmage okay, and it's funny, we always talk as coaches. I said, the school week's going really slow, but man, this football, that's going fast. Like it's Wednesday, and it's only Wednesday. Well, it's Wednesday, and now we got Thursday, and then we got Friday. Then next week, we're getting ready to play our first game, and once that hits, that's when things really go. Like Coach said, you want to slow things down, but you just can't. I mean, it's week to week to week, and next thing you know,
it's postseason or
putting your stuff away, or you're still playing. So, but yeah, we're looking forward to a decent scrimmage. I think we got the heat out of the way for a while. We had some issues with that, but looking at the extended forecast for the next few days, looks like it's going to be good. So we look forward to having some people out our scrimmage. We kind of make a big deal, like we'll have the volleyball team will play. They'll come out, watch us scrimmage. I think our trap shooting team gets announced, junior high baseball, softball. So it's kind of a big event. It's going to be nice for our community to show up Friday night and get out and about and kind of start the school year off,
Shelby, anything for these guys before we get out of here?
I was just kind of thinking you guys are kind of all in the same boat where you all play your non-conference games early, so you get them out of the way, then you kind of get to focus in on your league play. Does the approach really change for you guys? I mean, obviously you want to win your games. I totally get that, understand that, but does your approach change at all to say compared to like a non-conference game to a conference game?
I think that week 1 for us is going to be tough because they got a new coach. We don't really have film on what they like to do. So our preparation will be a little different. Then after that first week, then now we're going to have, okay, this is their coach. This is what they're going to do. These are the guys they have. Of course, they get that on us too. But, it's nice to I think it's just nice to get 2 games in, and then you can really start scouting and doing that stuff like you really want to do and preparing your kids for what they're going to see offensively, defensively, special teams, things like that. But, the first couple weeks to me, that's just different. I mean, hey, we got to play football. You got to be gap sound. You got to do all the things you're supposed to do, take care of the ball. And we got to make adjustments. We actually got to coach. We got to, hey, they're
Heaven
doing
forbid.
this.
Heaven forbid that,
And we got to be able to coach and adjust and things like that. You got to do that during the regular season, but you kind of have an idea what somebody's going to do, and then you can tweak things back and forth.
The conference games, you've already kind of seen those guys, so you kind of have a little better idea what to expect.
We've got a couple new coaches in our division. Ridgewood's going to have a new coach. So be interested to see what he's going to do. They should have a pretty talented group. And then every once in a while Kirby goes off the rails and does something different. So you got to see what he's doing. Sometimes I do that too. But, it's just kind of, once you get going, you're going and you get into that routine where you got your film done and your scout sheets and kids watching film and you can kind of help them out. But the first week you just don't really have that. And, you got to pretend or, got to pray that our kids adjust and get through it.
For sure. Shelby will tell you I'm about to be a broken record in that as a football team and a football program, we focus on being the best version of the Rockets. And so every week you have a scouting report. Every week you have a team that you are playing, regardless of what their jersey is. We need to execute our job, which, like Coach McCormick said, means lining up in the right spot, means, protecting the football, means, all those little things, all those fundamentals you've been hammering, because those fundamentals look great against a bag or a hand shield. But then when you play somebody who's trying to stop you, all of those fundamentals become significantly harder. And so, conference, non-conference, whoever it is, we focus on trying to be the best version of the Rockets, and we're going to put together a plan and try to be the best version of Rocket football.
Coach Schisler?
Took the words right out of my mouth, and these guys kind of covered it here. You know, that week one game is always the toughest. You know, you don't want to try to show too much in that week one game. You don't want to have to dig into your bag, deep into your playbook, but, you know, sometimes it is what it is. So, you know, we're going to do what we can here with this first week and then move on to week 2.
And football's the only sport, right, that wins matter. Everybody gets a postseason in every other sport except this one, right?
Yeah.
So postseason, non-conference, conference doesn't really matter, right? Every win's important in that.
Every game is important.
And you only have 9 of them, so it's not like you got 33 games. We lost this week. We'll play Tuesday, you know. And
it's not like you can be 0-9 and get in the postseason.
Yeah, and you have to, you got a whole week to wait to redeem yourself if things don't go well. So, like I said, it'll go quick for our kids, and we want to try to slow it down for them and make sure they enjoy the year, and hopefully we can get through it okay.
Well, guys, I appreciate you taking some time on your Wednesday night and coming and hanging out with us. And good luck all season long. And we're going to see most of you, at least most of you every week. And Coach Lafferty, I think we're going to see you several times too. So. All right, well, we'll be back here on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH, as the Football Roundtable, brought to you by Community News Brief. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Oh, welcome back. We're here with Adrian McGregor. Adrian, you're a Macomb guy.
Yes.
So you're living in Macomb, working at MDH.
Yes.
What's your position?
So I'm the Vice President of Clinical and Support Services here at the hospital. I have about 120 employees that roll up my direction through the organizational chart. And probably the easiest way to explain, so I have a great group of department directors that work for me. So areas like radiology and lab and physical therapy and cardiopulmonary services. Those are kind of the main areas that roll my way. And then on the support side, pretty much all things with the plant, the facilities, keeping it clean, construction, all of that rolls up in my direction as well. So I never am bored, and I have plenty to do every day. So sometimes it feels like I just need more daylight than I need work. But this is a great organization, and I work with some of the best people in this community, and I'm proud of that. Mostly proud of all that they are and all that they do, and the employees and what they contribute to the organization. We have a great group here.
Well, 2 things that caught my attention in what you mentioned. There's been a lot of construction going on, so you've had a lot to deal with. Maybe we could hit on that.
Sure.
But I don't know that in any of the times that I've done these interviews that we've talked about keeping the facility clean.
Yes.
I think those are the forgotten heroes of this place, right? Because if any place needs to be clean, it's here.
Yes.
How important and how much effort goes into keeping a hospital clean?
Well, I can tell you a tremendous amount of effort is made at keeping the facility clean. And just to give you an idea of the complexity of that, we have 14,000 visits a year in our emergency department, for instance. Everybody that comes to the emergency department is most likely having a bad moment of their day, or could be a game changer for their year or even beyond. And so obviously that high volume, that equates to 40 or 50 patients a day. You got to have a clean place for every patient coming in, hour by hour, minute by minute. And so that area just alone has to be kept clean. But then when you expand out to, we have approximately 800,000 square feet that needs to be kept clean throughout the entire hospital.
That's a lot of feet.
We do have a lot of employees engaged in that area. Jimmy Rogers actually oversees that area and then some. And so he has put together a team within our environmental services department to ensure cleanliness within the 4 walls of the hospital alone, but then also partners with several independent contractors that work on some of our business buildings or our physician buildings in other clinics that we have that aren't even located in Macomb. And so he and I have worked closely together over the past 3 years on this. And it was a struggle during COVID for sure, because you want to ensure that every area is cleaned, not only daily, but at times within every hour, if not more. And so it is a valiant effort. It's so important that Medicare watches for any type of hospital-acquired infection that could be picked up from the hospital. So our job is to stay clean, keep clean, and be even cleaner than mom or grandma would ever want you to have. So
a lot more than washing hands.
It really is, and hand washing is part of that as well. In our infection control department, who would have thought that within healthcare that keeping your hands cleaned every hour, every day, after every and even during patient interactions could be a game changer with preventing further infection. And we watch it very, very closely. And of course, everywhere you go, you see not only sinks and patient care areas, but hand gelling in and throughout that. And so we have to, it's what we do. It's not, oh, wow, that's a lot. It's what you do in healthcare. You have to do it. It takes care of patients. It takes care of practitioners. It is basic and fundamental, but when you do it, the outcomes are pretty clear. You help patient care. You prevent infections from happening that shouldn't have happened. Number one. Number two is your staff stay healthier as well.
Which is key in today's world.
Absolutely.
Well, Adrian, I greatly appreciate you coming and talking. And we just touched on some of the stuff that you deal with on a daily basis. So I'm sure we can talk to you again about some other things.
You bet.
But it was fun talking about the things that people kind of, I think, forget about a little bit, to get left behind. We talk about the doctors and the nurses all the time. We don't talk about the people that keep that
You bet.
stuff rolling. So I appreciate you being here. And
thank you so much. It was wonderful. Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
And welcome back here. Same two ugly guys in the middle, but we got some new coaches with us.
I resemble that remark.
Yes, me too. That's why I said it. But I'm like, you're supposed to put the rose in the middle of the thorns, and that is not the case right now. But welcome back to our football roundtable, and we'll let the coaches introduce ourselves. Coach Miller from South Fulton.
Yeah, Josh Miller, head coach of South Fulton. This is season 6 for me. So,
and Coach Horrell.
Yeah, Tanner Horrell at Macomb High, season 5.
And last but definitely not least, Coach Quinn.
Rick Quinn, A-Town High School football. I think this is 17 years now.
You think?
I mean, they start running together after a few, but I'm pretty sure this is 17, if you count the COVID year.
Does a COVID year count, guys? Does it really count?
Were any of them around during the COVID year?
That was my first year of coaching, actually.
I was going to say, that was right before he took over.
Brutal.
So thank goodness, right?
Yeah. Coached a 4-game spring season and then the 9-game fall season. That was kind of wild. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was our first year of covering sports, actually, was that year. So I understand it was a bit crazy. Coach Miller, you South Fulton team that one of the smaller teams in your conference, I think, even with the schools that come together. Your numbers aren't huge, but what are they looking for? What are you looking forward to this year, and how's the numbers looking and stuff like that?
Yeah, so 34 kids on the roster this year is what it looks like. We have trouble retaining juniors and seniors, so we'll have 9 varsity players, true varsity guys, 25 JV guys, but we got some really talented JV guys. I think of the Colby Martin kid. He's coming in as a sophomore, 375-pound bench on max day, 500-pound deadlift kid, running a 4.6. Really, really talented kid. So we've got some really, really good young athletes. We just lack depth at the line of scrimmage, which always affects us year in and year out. And, we get really good participation rates, guys. I got 180 kids in the 2 combined high schools, and we've got 34 kids playing. Our participation rates are good. We're just really small, and we're always teetering on that line of whether we're going to be an 8-man program or an 11-man program. That's just our reality where we're at. So,
well, I think we'll go down to Coach Quinn. I know there was some talk that A-Town might have done that, be looking that way too, because numbers are just small in a small school district, aren't they? It's not hard, but you guys still have decent numbers, I think, don't you? Or are they down a little bit again?
We'll be at 34 this year. We've added 3 or 4 freshmen as the season started. They won't be ready to play week 1, obviously, because of the practice limitations. But we do, it's just the reality of it. We do offer soccer. We are the small school in the state of Illinois that offers both boys soccer and boys football. So, I think that does impact a little bit. and that's fine. It is what it is. We only have 12 juniors and seniors right now, and then the rest are underclassmen. So depth, I just think it's kind of the nature of the beast with a lot of small schools, unless you're the Lena Winslows, the Camp Point Centrals of the world, that just patrol 57, 60 kids out every year. So you kind of make do with what you have, and like we talk about all the time, control the controllables. You can't control who's not here, so we're going to do what we can with who's here and go from there.
Coach Horrell, obviously Macomb, biggest school in our area, but numbers are still not what they used to be for Macomb either, and Macomb has so many things going on too at the school, don't they?
Our junior high numbers, we have 57 kids, and we lose a lot. Like, we lost our junior high quarterbacks playing golf, and a couple other kids are golfing, so we lose kids to golf and soccer, but we're fortunate. Right now we have 65 kids. We won't finish with 65 kids. I bet in a couple of weeks we'll probably go down to closer to 50, but right now our numbers are solid at the JV level especially. So the key is retaining them and trying to keep them out for 4 years.
So Coach Quinn didn't really mention it much, but you guys both mentioned it. Retaining kids as they go through high school, when like people that have played and they look back, they're like, man, I'm glad I didn't miss that senior year. But there's so many things that pull at kids today, other sports, getting a job so you can have a car. There's so many things that pull at kids. Retention is really probably harder than most people think, isn't it?
Yeah, I find it to be very challenging. We lost a kid that could have started on the O-line this year. He's said he's working 2 jobs. A couple kids focus on baseball or basketball, whatever it might be. We've kind of been very fortunate with that basketball thing that most of our basketball players play football. But we lose kids to other sports. They want to focus or they just don't want to play, right? We don't play a freshman schedule. We play a couple games. And so if you're a freshman playing JV, sometimes those freshmen don't get very many reps, and that loses them. So there's challenges everywhere. I know some people, you just lose people here and there.
And it's the same thing for the smaller schools and the rural schools because they've got things to do too, don't they?
It is. I mean, in our area, it's hunting and fishing. If you're to be honest, we've got some of the best hunting and fishing in the state of Illinois where we live, and so you lose kids to that in the fall. I think just socioeconomic stuff, right? These kids, if they want to have a truck, they want to have a car, they got to go work. And just, that drives as much of that as anything. We see that, big drop off from sophomores to juniors every year. And you just see that, and your heart breaks for these kids because some of them genuinely want to play football, but the choice is if I'm going to have a car, I'm going to have a truck, I'm going to have an opportunity to go work, I got to do it. I don't have a lot of help from home, otherwise, and that's just what we see with a lot of our kids in our schools, and it just is what it is. So we make the best with what we can do, and we try to accommodate those kids as much as we can. But you got to have your practices in, you got to be part of the team, you got to be able to be committed to that as well. With that, I got my kids a lawn mowing business, so we didn't have to worry about that. That was always my gig, make them go mow some yards. You can do that on the weekend. We don't have to get another job. So, but it's definitely a draw, and I think that affects us. And then I think, kids talk about a lot of single sport specialization, which kills small schools. So if a kid thinks he's just a single sport athlete, that hurts every program at the school. And you see some of that going on. And that's that's really tough for us. Like our kids need to play every sport they can if we're going to be competitive at the smaller level of schools.
Coach Quinn, you might have a female athlete or two at your high school that the single focus might be important, but for the most part, kids aren't going to go D1 from these small schools very often.
No, it's rare. I've been fortunate enough to have in my 17 years one player that's played at Western. And he was a phenomenal player. Probably a kid you have every 10 years, Zach Glisson. He came to Western and worked his way up to a starting middle linebacker. And specialization has changed, I think, the last 5 or 6 years, trying to keep up with the Joneses, as you say. You get these kids that have dreams, like my daughter, as I think you're referring to,
yeah.
And my niece, both, they want to play college basketball. So it's hard to be like, don't. But in small schools, you do need all the athletes to play everything. But when your dream is to be the highest level, like the reps are important. And finding that time, it's just not that easy, I don't think. I mean, we can break down the hours in the day and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, they're still kids. And If they have a dream, I believe in chasing it, and who am I to say you're not going to achieve that dream? So if you feel like baseball's your dream, I'd love to have you, but I understand. I understand it. We offer 4 fall sports, so like golf, cross country, soccer, and
is bowling a fall sport?
That
too?
is a winter, but
It's a winter
so
sport.
when you start breaking it down, you get 67, 70 kids boys doing fall sports. It's like we got a decent number of boys doing fall sports. It's unfortunate they're not playing football, and I also think some of the small school issues is, and I can't speak for Coach Miller, but we end up playing some freshmen on Friday nights, and it's not fair to them. But it ends up being a numbers game, and they get put in situations they're probably not physically or mentally ready for. But we got to have a team out there.
Right.
You know, and it may be a situation where they weren't ready for that, and it wasn't as enjoyable. So
you can have some kids that are physically ready for that,
And
but
then
they're
there's
not
the
mentally
mental, yeah.
ready for that. I mean, you know, we've got a kid at Monmouth right now, the Sam Riggins kid. He started as a freshman, but he came in the program at 250 pounds and is strong. You know, and still that's a big hurdle for a kid to come out of junior high football and go play on a Friday night.
Well,
you know, and we have to do that all the time.
Well, there's also, let's be serious, there's a difference between an 18-year-old young man and a 14-year-old freshman.
Yeah. Absolutely.
99 times out of 100,
like
there's a big difference.
You may have that, I mean, that rarity that can play as a freshman, but more times than not, you're putting them on the field in the defensive backfield, maybe out wide, but they're not ready to play. And it's unfortunate. Like 8-man, I guess, is always an option. I don't think the state can get out of their own way. I'll be the guy that says it. Like, until they decide that that's something they want to do, it's just not appealing to a lot of small schools, I don't think. Like, until you recognize it, and I don't know why you wouldn't, unless we're talking dollar bills. You know, like.
Well, I could tell you from being at the meetings, a lot of it is when would you play your championship game? I mean, it's weird. It's crazy things a lot of times that just, you know, we've got our 8 and it's 4-4 and it's postseason becomes a problem and I mean there's a lot of weird things that go into it that I think doesn't seem to make sense to me necessarily. But
I guess I always find it difficult when you got a state right next to you that's figured it out.
Oh,
and they
I
do
don't.
it really well.
Yeah, and you know, other states do it, but other states, you know, like Iowa, for example, I still have a hard time understanding how the heck Iowa does their postseason stuff.
Well, they do those 2 weekends, and they jam them
it's
full.
Yeah, it's craziness, right? But it's you know, but that's probably something for another time. But I get where you're coming from with that completely. You know, we've talked about these schools. Coach Royal, you don't get completely away from that. Even with the more kids in your school, you're still at certain positions short and stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to start a few sophomores this year. Our enrollment's really big. We have a chronic absenteeism problem at the high school. Our DNF list is out the wazoo. So, I mean, we fight different issues. I'm sure everyone has those DNF kids, but we have different problems, you know. And we have a lot of sports as well that the kids are able to play, and that's great. They all get the opportunity to shine somewhere. But we've been fortunate that we've had our numbers up.
Yeah. To be honest, though, brutally honest, I remember a lot of years back in the day, and you probably remember them too, back when you played or whatever, that, you know, the football numbers weren't exactly overflowing.
Yeah, we had one year that we had 33. I think that was like 2018, 2017. I think we had like 33 or 34 kids. So it's been good that we've doubled it at this point, but we're still relying on those young kids too, because you have kids that just want to be part of the team out there. That aren't great football players yet, but that's our job to develop them.
Is that a problem for this size of school, even Macomb guys? You don't get that chance to really develop players, do you? I mean, you're coaching and you're trying to develop them, but you don't get to, because you're throwing them in positions maybe they're not quite ready for. They don't get that chance to develop before they get thrown in there, do they? You have to develop them on the fly, so to speak.
Well, I mean, like right now, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but we're trying to prepare for A&W, who's supposed to be a pretty good football team. And we're throwing a scout team out there right now just to try to give them what we're going to see.
It's nothing like what they're going to see.
Well, and it's always like, yeah, that worked. And I try to tell the guy, but these guys aren't playing on Friday night, nor should they have to.
Right.
Like, I mean, I've got a freshman son who's on that scout team. I'm like, he ain't playing on Friday night. Like, he ain't going to be there.
Right.
So, like, and then because I do feel it does kind of stall some of their progression and them being able to focus on the things they want to do, because you have 34 kids, so you end up spending the varsity kids and the fresh soft kids more time together than they probably should, in my opinion. I mean, there's a lot of years where, like when I first started, you'd be able to send your fresh soft, hey, go master the offense. Go be you. And right now, it's not that way. But, like, you're trying to do a balancing act all the time, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and sometimes it does stall the progression of some of those kids.
Coach Miller, you think some kids get lost in the mix because of that sometimes, that maybe could have been better at something else, but they get stuck doing something you need them to do?
Yeah, I think that happens a fair bit. I mean, I think I could take the devil's advocate on this one. I tell my guys all the time, nobody plays more snaps of football than a South Fulton athlete. You're going to get 120 in a game where most of the guys get 60. Right. So, one of our pride, one of the things I'm really proud of, 5 years of coaching, I've had 9 guys go on and play college football. We got 7 playing Division III football right now, and they got a lot of reps. They got a ton of reps, and developed into really good athletes. What I worry about with the young guys is the injury thing. I think that's where you really hurt your program, is you get a freshman or sophomore out there and you have to play them in a varsity game, and they get a bad injury, and then it affects every sport at your school. That's the thing. I don't worry about the development as much as the injury thing of putting kids in places that maybe they shouldn't be in, with that. And, Coach Quinn mentioned earlier, there's a lot of difference between an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old in the mentality. So,
Coach Hoare, you're doing some of the same stuff too, I would imagine, as even with the 50 kids, right? You're still having some of those problems.
Yeah, we have to choose if we want to use the better JV kids to come run our scout team, or if we want to go let them develop and let some of the older kids that aren't quite as good as those freshmen and sophomores. So it's a different animal. I mean, teams like Farmington do a great job of developing their younger programs, and we got to try to figure out how to do that.
Junior high football. I know you guys have junior high football. I know Macomb does, obviously.
We have a JFL program that's not associated through the school. So, I mean, numbers, I think they're 25 for 7th and 8th grade. Then they have a 4th through 6th program that's got like 28.
So, obviously, the older ones of us at the table probably didn't have that when we played, I don't think. We didn't have it anyway.
I had junior high football.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you have junior high football?
I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah. But, so the first time we played flag football all the way through 8th grade. And then the first time you saw a set of pads was your freshman year. Does the little kid football help the program, or does it run some kids off maybe before they are really big enough to know whether they can play football?
I was really big on getting rid of our JFL. I think we lost a ton of kids from our JFL, whether it be they got stuck playing one side of the ball, or they got stuck playing, maybe they're the bigger kid in 4th and 5th grade and we're on the line. We had a couple kids get hurt in JFL, and then they never played, and that's when our numbers were at the lowest. So I was an advocate for moving ours to flag, and we've seen our numbers skyrocket from there. Now that's Macomb. That's not anyone else's program. Other teams have a great JFL program, and it feeds right into their high school. We fight losing them from junior high to freshman year, because we have a large number of kids in junior high, and it's a 24-minute football game. We play one team in our little conference. So if you only get 10 snaps for 6 weeks, do you want to continue to play football? Right. So I'm like, if we started as a freshman, I wouldn't be completely against that, because then you get them fresh and there's no bad habits. But I think everything, every program does it their way, and there's great ways of doing it your way.
Coach Miller, what do you guys got going on over there?
Yeah, it's such a mixed thing, right? I struggle with this. This conversation I've had with a lot of coaches over the years. We run a 5th, 6th grade program. It's done through our school, but we play A-Town. We play schools like that. And we run a very short season with that. And we try to give the kids a taste of football without too much football. 7th, 8th grade, we have junior high football. And so I think it's a bit of a mixed bag there. I think some kids are scared to try something new. And so I think, not having a taste of it probably prevents some kids from playing at the high school level. So I could see that side of it. But there's also the bad habits, and there's also the potential for injury that happens. And the other argument is that some kids only have so many years of football in them, and so I see both sides of that argument. I don't think it's hurt us that bad, and we run 25 to 30 kids in 5th and 6th and about the same in 7th and 8th. Our drop-off, honestly, is when they get their driver's license, as we talked about earlier, guys. That's when we really see the kids disappear, is that junior year.
Coach Quinn, what's your take, or does it affect your program, do you think, at all? Or?
Well, we've done it both ways. We went like 3 or 4 years where there was no junior high football. I think, like I was talking about, unfortunately, we've relied on freshmen to play, so it's nice for them to have a little bit of a background in football. Okay. But I could see, some of them getting bad habits, some of them having a bad experience and stuff like that. Like Coach Miller said, I do think it is a mixed bag. I don't think there's a right answer. I don't think there's a wrong answer, because there are some great programs that have your junior high programs and junior JFL, and there are some programs that have nothing before high school.
Right.
I don't think there's a right answer, unfortunately.
What do you get, Shelby? You got anything before I go on with something else?
I just like listening to hear you talk, man. Makes it easy on me.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because you know how lazy I am.
I did not say that. If anybody knows Shelby or seen Shelby around, Shelby is far from lazy. So, as you guys look back, and we talked about the one-sport athletes and stuff, and what do you guys think about? What do you tell kids if they come to their senior year and they're like, I'm just not going to play because I'm going to take a year off? What do you guys say to those kids as you look back at your years of playing, like your senior year or the last year you played, about what they would miss if they take that year or two off?
We always tell our kids, we've never had a kid come back to us and say, man, I regret playing football my senior year. Just from the camaraderie of being with your buddies. And I know some of you may have aspirations of playing college sports. It's completely different. It's a job.
Right.
The guys you're with now, these are guys that you're going to have lifelong relationships with in a lot of instances. So why not go out and experience something special with those guys? But some kids still will choose, and that's fine. I get it. Like, everybody's got different circumstances, and that kind of dictates what you're going to do in a lot of instances. So, I always tell them, we're not going to judge you one way or the other, but we'd love to have you. And I promise you're not going to regret it.
Obviously, you had a scenario where your dad was an important part of the football program when you were around, and still is an important part of the football program, and maybe in a little bit different capacity now. But what's it like for you, being from the school that you're now coaching at, being able to tell those kids, look, man, you don't want to miss these 2 years or this last year if you can keep from it?
Yeah, usually once they come up to us and they don't want to play, they've kind of made up their mind. I feel like, but you get 4 years to play with your buddies, and you talk about those memories forever, right? So it's a chance to play with your friends. Once you go on to college, if you play in college, they're not the kids that you grew up with, and at this point, you change every year anyway. Right. So it's a chance to play with your buddies. You get to play a game, right? You get to come out and hang out with your buddies for 2 hours every day, and then play against another team on Friday night. So you make memories.
I think you kind of hit on this already, but as a coach, is it hard for you to see those kids leave the program because they have to work or because they feel like they have to work?
It is. It's difficult to see because you know what they're giving up. You played football, basketball, baseball. May not look like I played anything, but I did.
I remember those days.
You remember those days? You played it all, and there's just nothing quite like football. And you try to explain that to the kids. When you're done with high school, you can go play pickup basketball. When you're done with high school, you can go play old man softball or whatever. you're not probably ever going to put those pads on again. It's different. You see the raw emotion from kids when they figure out it's over. Like, it's just different. Like I said, I played them all. And so just trying to explain that to a kid, and we've had some kids that didn't end up playing their junior or senior year, and they come back, and 100% of the time, man, I really regret that decision. But you can't tell a high school kid that.
Right.
I mean, you can't tell. That's the truth, but you can't tell them that. So,
Coach Quinn, you're the elder statesman up here as far as coaching years go. How much has the game changed for you as a coach from when you came in? Has it changed at all, or has it changed much?
I don't think games change. I mean, there's obviously some different rules. I was watching film the other day, like when Glisson played, and it was a little more physical, obviously, the crackback block and stuff like people would just get spilled all the time.
And that would bring the biggest cheer of any crowd as a good crackback block, right?
I can remember when I was in high school playing Lewistown, everybody always said, don't stand by the huddle or by the pile because you're going to get rocked. And I think that's for the better. I do think there are some things that have kind of been softened to the extreme. But I don't think the game's changed overly too much. I think you see more teams going a little bit more spread out on offense than maybe in the past. And I think some of that's just you got younger kids playing, so you're trying to get them out of the box and maybe away from the physicality a little bit. But I don't think the game is too different, in my opinion.
Has it changed for you, Coach Oil? From a player to a coach? Obviously you're looking at it different. You're doing different things, but has the game changed much for you from when you were playing?
We were starting to install. We had Davis Hendrickson as our quarterback back in the day, and Myers. So we're kind of installing some of that spread stuff, some of that triple option out of the spread back then. So it hasn't changed a ton since I was. Now I remember watching like my brother-in-law's team in the 90s, and they ran the ball 90% of the time and super physical. But you still get that, right? So it's still football.
You see the changes or any changes? Or
I think the biggest, aha moment coming into coaching at the high school level was we can't do things like we did when I was in high school.
We can't do what your coach did to you, right?
We would have like 6 kids in a program, if we went back to the way things used to be and with that. So just trying to, to simulate as much game speed stuff as we can in practice without having the contact that leads to injuries, and I had to learn that a little bit my first year with that. We lost a kid, in game 3 of that first full season I coached who was just flat special, and you just hated that for that kid. Season-ending knee injury.
Was that height?
Yeah, this Gavin was just an incredible athlete, and you just hate to see those moments. So you just learn to not get kids injured in practice, when you have 34 kids to 36 kids on a roster year in and year out like we do.
You talk about doing some of the stuff from back in the day. I remember when Coach Sharp was down at South Fulton going to a year, and he had a practice at 12:01 in the morning.
Yeah, we did that.
On that first day.
I was on his staff.
Yeah.
That's right. You were, weren't you?
My brother and I, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You guys were.
Yeah.
And
Coach Cluthy, that coaches with us, has told us stories of those days, so he remembers
that. Yeah, the 12:01 practice. We slept in the school that night. It was miserable.
Yeah.
I cuss him to this day. I'm like, man. There was nowhere good to sleep in that school.
No. Everything was like the gym floor or concrete or whatever.
Everybody at home was totally expecting you to say, that was the best thing ever.
I didn't
Coach Quinn's like, that was horrible.
I didn't mind the practice. It was, we all stayed at the school afterwards and got up at like 6 a.m. to practice again. I'm like, Sharp, this is terrible.
Yeah, practice at like midnight, go for like 2 hours, and then, like you said, get up at 6 or 7 and go right back out of it again.
We couldn't find anywhere to sleep in that place.
That's funny.
I don't think
there was air conditioning in the school then either, so it was
that thing was it was brutal.
Hey, that's training.
Yeah,
the sleeping was training too. What do you think? Throwing a 12:01 practice next year?
I think Minden does it. I think Minden still does it the first day of hitting. Yeah. I think they do it the first day of hitting. We actually thought about it since. You either got to go at
10 degrees anyway,
6
right?
at 8 tonight at night or 6 in the morning. So we actually thought about it. One of those, our kids wanted to do it that Friday night. I passed. I need some sleep.
It's past my bedtime.
Yeah.
I don't think the city of Abingdon would like it if I'm turning the lights on. I don't think they like it when I turn them on at 6 a.m. So
the neighbors would not be happy about that.
I forgot to shut them off.
That's the best thing for you, right? There's no neighbors.
There's not a lot of neighbors. We've done a lot of this heat, a lot of late night practices because that's when we could go and get some work done. And most of my coaches don't work at the school, and so getting us in early doesn't work. So we've had some 7:30 p.m. practices this season so far, just trying to work around the heat.
No, you talk about the heat, guys, and I mean everybody's got different approaches and everybody's got to deal with it. But what's it like for you guys trying to handle that situation with when it's the heat is what it is?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a crapshoot each day. You want to make sure you get time to practice, and you don't know. I think Monday where it was super hot. We had an instance where you didn't know if we were going to be able to practice that night. So Tuesday, the forecast looked a little warm. I'm like, hey, we got to go 6 a.m. in case the school cancels after school stuff just to get stuff in. Well, it ended up being a nice day Tuesday.
So did you practice twice? Oh, you can't do that.
We went.
You got so many hours a day.
We went Monday morning because it looked like it.
Yeah.
And then so Monday, we made the decision we're going to go 6 to 8 at night on Tuesday. And then it was perfectly fine. We would have been fine Tuesday. But you got to make it early so then kids have rides and whatnot. You can't send messages at school anymore. We have the no cell phone policy, so I can't message at school. But
I'm thankful for the athletic director on that. I put that on them, and you tell me when I have a green light to practice. I can't understand all these rules. I'm a simple guy. We would have practiced any time. So I'm like, you tell me when I can practice and what I can do, and we'll work around that. So that's kind of how we've handled the heat this season so far.
I don't know that it's actually getting hotter, but it sure seems like we have a lot more of those hot days since they started doing this real feel stuff. And there's so many days now. The real feel when it's cold to cancel stuff, and the real feel when it's hot to cancel stuff. We would have lost how many? I mean, if we'd have been playing these 2 weeks, we wouldn't have been able to play football. I mean, wouldn't have been able to play games even.
We wouldn't have been.
No.
So and is it difficult for you guys too, since different schools handle things different ways? I mean, you make some long road trips, and you guys make some pretty decent road trips. Some of that stuff is dependent. Like, if the home team says you're playing, you have to play. Is that how it works?
I think the road team has to have a say-so, especially in weather. Like now, the IHSA has all the rules with the heat. Like you are, they have the final say-so. You got the wet bulb test. We send Kelso out there to the practice field.
Take your shirt off. Just stand out there with your shirt off. See what happens.
Do not send him out there and make him take his shirt off.
He flexes out there around the corn.
If he flexes and he sweats, it's too hot.
He came in Monday. He's like, right now we're in the orange. I'm like, what does that mean exactly?
We're in the black for a while, so that means nothing.
I'm like, what does that mean? What's it going to be like in 2 hours? I don't know. I'm like, we'll just go helmets tonight. I'm like, what about tomorrow? You should go in the morning. I'm like, all right, whatever.
I think Coach Miller's got this figured out. I just do whatever they tell me.
I just listen to Mark.
Give me the green light. Yeah, give me the green light, and we'll go to work. So anyway,
I don't think it's a problem until whatever other schools do until you play on Friday.
Yeah.
And we don't have that scenario. So I don't care what A-Town's doing or Rushville's doing. Doesn't matter, right? You just
and
do your thing.
Practice is practice, right? I mean, to some extent, you want to get there and get the kids together and do something anyway, right? Even if it's not necessarily what you wanted to do, is something better than nothing, or not really?
Well, I think in some instances something's better. There are some instances where something's not better than anything.
Yeah.
I think it depends on your kids.
Yeah,
like what kind of group of kids you have.
There are days where it's like, ooh.
I would have been better just to take the day off.
Today might have been a good day to try golf.
It's really hard to get lineman work, when you're not in helmets and you can't do these rules. I mean, what do you do for linemen that's useful in that,
right.
in those environments? And you can do your receiver stuff and things like that, and I get that. But, yeah, it's another challenge. And I think, 25, 30 years ago, we just went in the heat and nobody cared.
For 5 hours.
That's
yeah, right.
Yeah, that's
go like 7 to noon.
That's the honest answer. Is nobody cared. Now we care.
8 to 10
and
2 to 4.
So,
whatever.
You go 7 to 9, do notebooks for an hour, and then go 10 to 12, and that'd be your day, right?
We'd go 7 to 10 and come back in the afternoon in the middle of the heat. I mean, obviously that was 27 years ago for me.
Some of the other coaches that were up here were talking, and I was talking to Coach Mack before we started. Some of that probably, and his wife Bridget said this too, and it's probably a good point. Some of it has to do with like when we were out, when we were kids, and even young guy here, when we were kids, you were out all the time.
Oh.
You didn't have your cell phone. Or if you did, you weren't. It was a text phone, and there's no games. You're out riding your bike to your friend's house, and you're out playing sports all the time, doing stuff. You're not in on the computer all the time, or in on your phone all the time, or in on your Xbox all the time. And it's so much different now in that respect. I mean, I think we were kind of ready for it or built for it. They are not anymore.
I'm not sure anybody's ever because like what you're talking about. I don't think they get acclimated to the heat in the summer. We'd go to the ballpark.
Yep.
Until 5, 6 o'clock at night, play basketball, do whatever, play wiffle ball all day.
You better be home before the street lights come on.
Just be home for dinner,
yeah.
And then go out after dinner. But when it gets dark, then you can play PlayStation or Sega or whatever.
Right.
Nintendo, I think, is what I had.
Sega Genesis?
Yes, I had a Sega. I'm dating myself.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Me too.
I had an Atari as well. But
did any of you guys have central air growing up as a kid?
We had a room.
I didn't.
You had your air conditioner in a room, and everybody sleep in a room.
Exactly. So central air and cell phones. There's the reason that
and a
things
fan.
are a little different.
We might have had a fan if we were lucky.
The big metal fans.
Yeah. I remember we had a huge exhaust fan upstairs. And you would close the house up in the morning to keep it as cool as you could keep it as long as you could. And then when it started to cool down a little bit at night, you turn the exhaust fan on and bring all the cool air in so you could sleep at night.
Yeah.
Did you have that problem?
I actually had that fan in my room. My room was the attic. I'm in a 3rd-story house, so I was burning up there.
Well, then you never had a problem with football practice, did you?
No. I was out there as a kid. We did those 2 a day still when I was playing.
Yeah. So before we let you guys get out of here, start with Coach Miller. What do you got coming up for your week 0, and then what are you looking forward to week 1 and then moving forward?
Yeah, we did end up with a week 0 this year. We were going to do that with LVC, and then they got put on our schedule week 5, so that was kind of our game plan, and we just never backfilled that. We'll have our Meet the Rebels night, which is one of the fundraisers for the boosters we do every year, and we'll go out and support that. So that's kind of what we got going on there, and just focused on Stark County for week 1. So.
Speaking of the boosters for you guys, that facility that you have there in Table Grove now is a pretty nice facility. Isn't it?
Yeah, they've really it started with the fundraising for the track. A lot of private donors did that, and then the bleachers looked pretty bad against the track, so we got a new set of bleachers, and we needed a new scoreboard, and then we're getting concessions, and so a lot of investment there in the area. We've been proud to see that, and really made a nice facility there for South Fulton. So we're excited about what's to come.
Coach Horrell, what you guys got going on?
We have Jacksonville coming to town on Friday night. So we actually saw them this summer at QU camp. So there'll be a nice test for us, kind of see where we stand. They're usually big and fast. We had them because they were a 5A program, and then they almost fell, and we were at one point projected to play them last year in the playoffs. But they're a good football team, and that's kind of the whole goal, is to see a good football team before week 1, because we know Rushville's going to be a beast this year. So my son really wanted us to be with Coach Lafferty so I could talk trash. I wasn't going to do it, but no, we're got a tough one week 1.
Coach?
We do not have a week 0 game. We are going to do our Meet the Tornadoes tomorrow night, where our guys will stand and wave.
Parade wave?
Yeah, keep everybody healthy for week 1 is our goal. We start out with A&W, who is a conference favorite. So I'd rather have everybody on Friday night than Thursday of week 0. So we're going to have our work cut out for us. It'll be a good test to start the season and see where we stack up with some of the better teams in the conference.
The conference isn't weak, is it?
No.
I do think the small side is a little more balanced this year, probably. I mean, I think obviously Princeville, Rushville, and A&W are probably your favorites. I think the middle is a little more open than it has been in the past few years. And then obviously you take in to the equation injuries and stuff like that. So I do think there are opportunities for teams that maybe were at the bottom last year to work their way up into the playoffs. But obviously you're still going to have your Rushville, A&W, and Princeville at the top.
What about the big side of that?
A lot of teams were senior heavy last year, but I mean, the good programs are still there. Farmington's still going to be the team to beat. Elmwood's a great program that's just a long history of winning. Illini West looks really talented. Coach Dorothy's got some kids back out from football at West Hancock. I think they're going to be a lot better. Then a couple of new coaches at Bureau Valley that's got a long history of success, and same at Knoxville. So someone's got to beat Farmington.
Yeah, someone's got to be. There seems to be always one of those teams, doesn't there? And back when I was playing at BPC or when I was in school at BPC, Rushville Industry was always good. Knoxville was always good, and Farmington was always good. And when we were trying to get better, those were the three teams. It's kind of like you're saying with Princeville, Rushville, and Anawan Weathersfield, right? You got those cream of the crop, and that's where you guys are always shooting for, and Nicole's to get there, right?
A&W's got a long history of success. Princeville's been really good. I think Coach Carruthers does a great job. I mean, they'll have a down year here and there, but traditionally they're pretty solid. And Coach Lafferty's doing a great job at Rushville. I mean, I know Coach Hebb had it turned around when he was down there, and they may have a down year here, but then they're going to have 5 or 6 years where they're really good. So it seems like he's got that program back to where it was back in the day, where they're running the ball, they're playing physical and stop us. And so, I mean, that's always a challenge. But I think those three teams should be your top teams, and after that, I just think week to week.
Yeah, but you guys had a pretty high-scoring game with them last year, didn't you?
Yeah, we. I mean,
one-score game if I remember.
We had a chance. We had a chance late, and things happened that, we had a chance. I think we were on their 30-yard line with 2 minutes left, and we got stopped on 4th and 1. So, maybe we score, maybe we don't. Our biggest thing is always stopping them. We seem to struggle stopping them in the phicality up front, and so hopefully.
Seems like you guys kind of had a lot of close calls last year. I mean, just as far as getting close, and just not be able to make that 1 or 2 plays that could swing it for you.
Some consistency. I joke that we would leave games without any toes, because we just seem to blow them off all the time. And
shoot yourselves in the foot.
Yeah, they're kids. They're supposed to make mistakes, and that's why I tell them, don't worry about it. But, sometimes it happens at inopportune times, and hopefully you learn from it. And hopefully this year we're a little bit better because of it. We'll see. We do have some really good athletes. We really do. We lack some serious line depth, which is always scary when you're playing football.
Yeah, and I think that's – it seems like they go – one or the other, right, Coach Miller? I mean, you have good linemen and you're missing that one really good running back that you really need, or you have a couple good running backs and you just don't have any linemen.
If I could just take 4 years and put them into one, I'd have it made. So,
right.
We said we've had a lot of guys go on and play at the next level, but yeah, it's always that. And it seems like we're always fighting for that 5th lineman. We've got 3 guys that are just rock solid. We got a guy that's close, and then we're really fighting to find that 5th lineman every year. And as we know, the game is won at the line of scrimmage. Even as much spread as we play today, the game is still won at the line of scrimmage, and that matters, and it really matters when the season goes on. And I think that's why Rushville has the success they do. They run a really simple scheme, but they come after you play after play after play with that offense, and it's physical, and you've got to stop it. Like, we literally have a defense for every other team we play, and then we have a defense for Rushville. And it's kind of the same way with Elmwood Brimfield. When we had to
that's
play
what I was
them.
getting ready to say.
Yeah.
That's the epitome of 2 yards in a cloud of dust, and then they just run the belly at you 25 times until they break it once, right?
They got a 7 for 8 on 4th down last year.
Yeah,
they started rotating their O-line like hockey. Like the whole line, like they'd leave their center and rotate the rest of the guys. We beat them 2 out of 3 seasons, which was one of my big successes, beating the legend there at Elmwood Brimfield. And then the last time we played them, they literally rotated their offensive line about every series, and I went, well, we're done. At that point. So,
what would it be like to have that kind of depth at any position?
Yep.
I have no idea. I'll let you know if it ever happens.
Okay, we'll expect a letter in the mail when it happens.
I'll send you an email.
Okay, sounds good. Guys, thank you for coming and talking to us. We greatly appreciate it. Hopefully we can do this every year and get you guys to come back and see how it goes. Good luck with what is it? What's 9 days before the first game, right?
Yeah.
Are you ready for that?
We better be.
Ready or not, here it comes. That's what I like to say.
Yep.
Well, Shelby, anything before we get out of here?
I think we've talked plenty, at least you anyway. I'm just kind of
you
a church
need to
mouse.
talk more.
Wow, you know how many people have said that in my lifetime?
Well,
let me count them on one hand.
Well,
so no, this is really great. Just sitting guys, coaches, and talking and more than just necessarily talking the game, but just talk about different aspects of the game and how they feel about how things are. I think it's a good deal, to let these guys kind of get out a little bit and talk a little bit as far as their programs, instead of, the cut and dry whatever. So
I think the normal journalism stuff doesn't allow you guys to show how much you care about the kids and about the programs and stuff. And I think when you see somebody talk and are able to hear them in their own voice in a situation where you're more relaxed and you can just kind of talk, I think that's, especially you guys have shown that feeling is there, and you actually care, and you care about the kids, and you want them to have good experiences. And it's not always about winning and losing. It's all about what you can learn and the experiences you can gain from it.
Well, it's obviously not because we're all getting rich.
Right.
So, I mean.
It's about the retirement plan.
Yeah, it's about the TRS. So you better enjoy being around the kids and hoping they have success, because if not, I don't know what you're doing. So, I mean, I would assume that's why most of us do it, and to give back to them, and hopefully you can give them some characteristics and lessons that they can apply in life. So,
if there's one thing you could absolutely tell kids to say why they should absolutely play football, what would you say?
I think football is the ultimate team sport. I really do. I have a daughter that plays a lot of basketball, and I played baseball in college. I just think in football, everybody has to be on the same page all the time. And everybody working together for one goal. And I'm not saying all team sports aren't like that, but I've seen lots of basketball teams, you have one scorer, and everybody else just play defense, just let them score. Baseball, if I got a good pitcher, I got a chance.
Right.
If you have two good pitchers, you might go to state. Maybe not now with the pitching rule and stuff like that, but I just think football is the ultimate team sport, and the lessons you can learn from it, I think they're real-life, valuable lessons. I really do.
You guys?
You get to compete. I think that's one big thing. You get to compete, and then we try to have fun. I hope our kids leave practice every day, and that's like 2 of the best hours of their day. They're having a lot of fun. We try to compete and have fun every day, and you're playing a game. So I think you get 4 years to play football and have fun and play with your friends.
I think we tell kids what I like about football is it's hard. We've made everything in our culture and everything in our lives easy, and life isn't easy. So if you don't learn to deal with hard and how to handle adversity and when things don't go your way, and I can't think of a better sport to teach that lesson. And the other part of it, which Coach Quinn mentioned, is 9 guys are going to go out there and gut themselves for 4 quarters to make 2 guys look good that make the newspaper.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And that's what a workforce looks like. That's what good organizations look like. You're not always the guy getting the credit, and there's nothing more countercultural today than football. There are no trophies for just being there, and so it's teaching a lot of lessons that you got to work for something bigger than yourself, and it's hard, and it's just special. It's just absolutely special.
One of the things you said was competition. The first thing you said was competition, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people have tried to work out of our society is competition.
Everybody gets a trophy.
They don't want competition. They want everybody to get something, And I think that you're absolutely right. Football is the one sport that if one person doesn't do something right, it can ruin it for everybody else every play. So and I think that if they can, these kids, like Coach McCormick said earlier, if these kids can understand that hard work, dedication, competition will make you better when you get older and in real life, because football is probably the most real life scenario as you can get. Once you get out into real life, shouldn't be in there, at least there's not very many people that are going to be there. Here's a trophy and here's a whatever for you, right? You got to go work for it.
Yeah. I think you have to deal with failure and stuff like that consistently, and be able to pull together and deal with adversity. And, you're not always going to get a trophy or
the job you want.
Or the job you want. How do you respond? How do you control the controllables is what we talk about a lot of times. And, you control your effort, you control the type of teammate you are, you control how you respond to adversity, and those are things that are going to make you valuable moving forward as a father, as a husband, in whatever profession you choose. And at the end of the day, that's what I want from these. I want these guys to be way more successful than I am, and I just want them to be great at life. And hopefully we're teaching them things that can help them contribute to that.
Well, guys, I appreciate you being here. Shelby, I think this one's fun. We got volleyball tomorrow night and athletic directors on Sunday.
Get after Reed.
Oh, you know what?
Make him take his shirt off. Go stand outside.
No. We're gonna, before he comes in, we're going to have him get behind the window with his shirt off.
And his wet bulb.
The wet bulb.
Yeah,
And the wet bulb.
Yeah. I don't think anybody wants that. Nobody. We'd probably get
We'd probably get the law enforcement out
You
there.
guys might get a lot of likes and hits. You never know.
You go viral.
Yeah.
Sun's out, guns out.
Yeah.
I'll let him know so he can start working out these next
just
couple
tell him
days.
to get the guns
Start
flowing.
doing some buys and tries in the weight room.
Walk for 35 minutes.
Walk for 35 minutes in his class.
Coach Miller, are you glad you came to be a part of this?
Oh, it's entertaining. It's entertaining. I'm just thinking right now. I promised my boys pizza, and the place closes at 9 o'clock.
I'll let you out of here.
All
then.
right.